Alright, hi team, welcome to your movement flow videos. I decided to make these videos so that they are quite generic. You can do them before your session, you can do them after your session, you can do them as a morning routine, an evening routine. They're supposed to be all-encompassing but hitting some areas that most people need to focus on. So we're just going to start by moving around, trying to get the body nice and warm. So we're going to go side kick. You're going to imagine you're kicking the inside of your foot with a football and going across the body. So we're just getting some nice movement flow in here, getting a bit of blood flow, getting into the fascia. You can start adding twist or a counter twist to get your upper body involved too. Don't worry about time or sets or reps. We're really just trying to get everything moving, feeling good, and kind of go at your own pace. So as you start to move, just try and feel into your joints, get some body awareness, and start moving. I would encourage you to be barefoot if you can. We're going to be doing some things in the bottom of the foot as well, often something that is missed. We're going to kick out in front now, so we're going to reach up and back and up. So we're hitting the back of the leg and we're starting to get a bit of blood flow, maybe getting a little bit warm as we move through. We can start to counter a bit and you can start to reach forward, maybe get the opposite hand to touch, lengthening and trying to compress the front of the hip. Good, we're going to switch sides. Same thing, start off small, getting a little bit of balance work too. And then as you get a bit warmer, we can maybe reach a bit further forwards and get a bit of flexion and reaching and compression. Good, little shake off. We're going to go for some nice gentle bounces. So if you're quite tight in the posterior or your lower back, you're getting pain, you can bend your knee. We're just going to let the back flex and round as we reach through. If you're a bit more mobile, we can straighten the legs and we can just start to tap nice and gently. We can play around with the position and move around a bit, but just take your time. You can put your hands down if you want to and do it the other way around, whatever feels secure for you. The same thing, we're going to bend our knees before we stand, have a little shake off, and we'll go one more time. Same thing, so we're just nice and straight, reaching, coming around, dropping the chin. I'd encourage you to breathe out a bit more. Obviously I'm speaking at the same time. Just try and relax, let your lower back go, let your chin drop. Good, bend the knees, slowly come up. We're going to go into a hip flexor and hamstring stretch. So we're going to reach forwards, feel the back of the hip here, and then we're going to tilt and feel the hamstring here. So you can move the foot slightly. We do want that nice knee bend. The ankle comes up a little bit, it's absolutely fine. So we're going to reach and come back. If you've got a couple of blocks, they can be quite handy because you can have some support here, especially through the hamstring as you reach through. You can drop the chin and get a bit of that sciatic nerve stretch as we come through. Keep going in your own time, with or without the supports. Good, and we'll switch sides. So you can see my back hip here. We're trying to keep our pelvis down, slightly tucked when you go into that hip flexion. So we don't want to arch too much. We're going to keep that pelvis slightly down, engage in, and then we can relax the pelvis, reach forwards. You can add some arm motion in here if you want to. The same thing, if you need the bricks for a bit of support, you're welcome to. Do a couple more. Good, then one of my favourite side bends, same half kneeling position. We're just going to come with the opposite hand down to the floor and we're going to reach up and over as we reach through. You can come up and down as we're coming round and up, round and up, round and up. I really like the brick here because you can just give yourself a bit more support and we're trying to drive our hip away from us as we go over, breathe out, look under the armpit, and push all the way through. Same thing with the other side. You can have the breath if you want to, reaching up and across. Try and have the hand in line with the hip and reaching round and through. You can stay there and use the arm as a bit of a driver, or you can come up and down, reaching across. Try and look slightly underneath the armpit and make sure you're staying in that frontal plane. So I always say between two panes of glass, if there was glass here and glass here, we're trying to work across and push. That hip's going that way, my body's going through. Do one more round, keep it a bit shorter. If you need a bit longer, pause the video, do a few more. I just want to make sure we hit all of our muscle groups. Good. Just do a couple more this side. Cool, so we open up the body quite nicely through the hips. So we're going to come onto our back and we're going to activate that hip flexor a little bit. So as we come down, we're going to draw our knee into our chest. If you want to go outwards slightly to kind of get around that rib cage, it's absolutely fine. From there, we're actually going to drive our knee into our hand. So we're trying to push away, but we're not going to allow it by holding that knee. So we should feel nice and active. Then as we let go, we're going to do the opposite. We're going to drive our knee into our chest. So we're imagining doing this, where we're going to resist it with our hands. This position might feel a little pinchy in the front of the hip, but that's what's going to help us activate and get that hip flexor strong. So we're going to do a few seconds, 3 to 5, pushing away from the body, let go, drive the knee in, resist, don't let me push the knee away. We're imagining we're doing this motion and this hand is pushing this way, hold for 3 to 5, and then we'll switch. So knee out into the hands, relax, and then knee up and down. We'll switch to the other side. Same thing, I'm going to push my knee outwards into my hands. This is really good if you're someone who does a lot of squatting. We often don't actively work the knee into our chest. So we want to make sure we keep that position nice and strong. Knee away, pushing into the hand, and then we're going to go knee into the chest. Similarly, if you do toes to bars, knee raises, anything like that, it's a great way to work through those isometric positions, the holding positions as we go through. Same thing, knee in and down. We'll do a couple more on this side. Like I said, if you need to do a few more, just pause the video and then when it comes through. This is a good chance to make sure you work on your abdominals, especially your lower abs. Try and keep your lower back flat on the floor so we're not arching as we push the knee into the chest, especially to try and keep that nice flat back position. So there shouldn't be any gap between the floor and my hand, and I should be able to keep that lower back nice and flat. Try not to activate the neck too much. If it feels difficult for you to activate without your head being up, that's okay, but try and be nice and long as we work through our last few contractions. From there, we're going to work into the lat a bit. My favourite single arm lat stretch. You're going to imagine, I have a knife, you're going to push it into the floor and then you're going to drag it. So I'm imagining pushing down and dragging. So I push down and I feel this long stretch all the way through the outside of my body, and I reach down and I can look slightly away, or I can just drop the head. You should feel this nice long stretch. If it feels a bit pinchy, play around with the position, maybe go a bit wider, maybe bend the elbow a little bit. But ideally, it'll work that overhead position, which is really important for us as we reach down, push into the floor, and then a little relax. It should loosen off. Same thing, we'll do a few, and then we'll switch, and then we'll go back. It's the same thing. Imagine a knife, drag it into the floor. It creates a little bit of distraction in that joint, so you're able to get a bit more length. I like this slight twist as we come down. It allows me to get a little more traction, and then just relax everything. You don't have to keep pushing down the whole time. I press down for 2 to 5 seconds, and then relax for 5 to 10. Good, push down, drag, feel that pull to the side of the body, then relax. Good. Good, like I said, if you want to do one more round, you're more than welcome to. We're just going to work the back of the feet. So you're going to untuck the toes, make sure the little toes untucked, and just drop back. You should feel this nice stretch. If you're someone who wears shoes all the time, or is restricted in the foot, this is a nice way to get through. If this is quite intense, you're welcome to just put the hands down and just work through whatever feels right for you. This is a great thing to do before you're going to do any lower body work, and it's going to get blood flow into the fascia of our feet, as well as get a nice stretch. This feels comfortable. You can play around with these positions, work more onto one foot than the other, but otherwise just spend a bit of time here. If it gets a bit taxing, just come out of there, give your feet a little patter, come back in, make sure that little toe's untucked, and then just work through. The last thing we're going to do is we're going to get into nice, simple low back twist. So we're going to come onto the back, one that you've probably done before, knee across, and we're just going to reach and breathe out. So just a couple of seconds on each side. If you want to do it a bit more in, a bit slower, you can hold it a bit longer. If this is pre-training, then I would hold 3 to 5 seconds and then switch. Cool. Thank you for joining me in my movement video. I hope you enjoyed it.